Welcome one, welcome all. Before we get started, we really want to send out our condolences to the Leach family. It's a guy that touched a lot of people in a very positive way. Really rocked the college football world to hear of his passing. But hats off to you, Coach. You will be missed. But, guys, thanks for joining us today on another episode of DDO Sports Talk. Before we get going here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. Hit the share button on YouTube there. Follow us all year on our social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. You can download the audio versions of these podcasts on your favorite podcasting platform. Newberry, we're going to be resurrecting a little real or fake this week.
We're going to have a college edition of Real Fake. We've got our NFL Pick6, our final thoughts. But at first, we want to talk about Coach.
Absolutely. This week, the passing of Coach Mike Leach, like I said, it just absolutely rocked the college football world. It actually rocked me. I didn't even know that he had a medical event. And because y'all said that, no, he's not going to make it. And I'm like, yeah, well, he's a gimmick offense. I didn't think he'd last you. And Newberry's like, no, dude, he's in the hospital. I'm like, oh, shit. I was floored. But talk about a guy who touched a lot of people, he gave a lot of people their starts in college football, Parker, and a lot of big names. A lot of big names have a lot of respect for Coach Leach.
Yeah, and say what you will about whether you think his offense was gimmicky or you liked him on the field or off the field, whatever. I'll tell you what, everybody loved this guy at a press conference. Mm-hmm. I mean, being former journalists, like, just, hey, let's find some Mike Leach clips because we know he's going to say something. Like, I agree with him. Candy corn sucks. You know, fat little girlfriends. He would talk about Bigfoot and aliens and which mascot would beat up the other mascot.
My personal favorite.
The guy was just lovable.
Absolutely. Newberry. A lot of names. Look, Josh Heupel. You know, he was the OC at Oklahoma before he took the Texas Tech job. Him and Heupel had a pretty close relationship as a result. Lincoln Riley.
Oh, Lord. Lincoln.
Another one.
One of your favorite names.
The coward. But yeah, a lot of big names.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Crabtree. Hey, dude, it's
what about one of his best seasons at Washington State? Gardner Minshew.
I mean, look at it this way. Who knows what he might have done with the resources? I mean, he got into the SEC eventually, but giving him enough time, giving him the right resources, who knows what he could have become. I mean, you look at his stats. You got some of his stats there. I'd love to hear some of them. It's pretty incredible.
So, Coach Leach, 21 years as a head coach, 17 bowl appearances. He earned a record of 158 and 107. He only coached at 3 universities: Texas Tech, Washington State, Mississippi State. We're not talking about like the powerhouses of schools here.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
He gets it done.
Absolutely. He just got it done.
His best records, he went 11-2 twice. He did that in 2008 at Texas Tech, 2018 at Washington State. But where does he rank, Parker? I mean, this is Hall of Fame worthy, collegiate.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely think that is. I mean, he also had Tim Couch, if we want to go back to those days.
Yeah.
He had a ton of people that came underneath him. I need to look it up because it's just one of those lists that's it's like asking me what does Denzel Washington star in. You know, it's like there's so many that it kind of wraps your brain when you're trying to think of it. But absolutely, College Hall of Fame. You know, people sometimes look back at people when they pass away and they get elevated. And this isn't one of those situations. This guy was going College Football Hall of Fame. Whether he retired this year or 10 years, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet somewhere that said that the cutoff was 60% winning percentage, and he was at 59.6. I think the College Football Hall of Fame folks can round this up for us. I really
absolutely. Do. And y'all said it. He's not doing this at Bama, you know?
Right. I mean, right before we came on, Brad was sitting here talking, what if he was at like Notre Dame?
He would have been.
I mean,
The coach for 21 years.
Yeah, because he's that guy. He is that guy that goes somewhere and just stays forever. And if he finally made it to the SEC, I mean, maybe Mississippi State was his final stop, for the next 10 years or whatever. If he's at a Notre Dame, he's a lifer there because he's just one of those lovable characters that gets there. And people just love him.
His offense was progressing, right? Every single year at Mississippi State, it was getting a little bit better. When we talked about even in the third year under his system, that's what they were this year. I wish we could have seen it for another 5 years just to see where it would have gone.
And look, to be, for me to be fair, I call his offense gimmicky because he's been at schools where he had to be gimmicky to win.
Yeah.
And now he was getting to the SEC. And like you said, every single year, now he's getting better and better quality of players, higher level athletes. He didn't have to be quite so gimmicky. And it was starting to show on the field. I mean, Will Rogers could tell you a lot about that.
I think people use the word gimmicky as a negative. That's not necessarily the case, right? Army's offense, Navy's offense, they're gimmicky. But they win. That's you got to run what you got to run with your personnel to be able to make it work. You got to do something different. Like Vandy, in my opinion, needs to have a gimmicky offense because
they don't have a gimmick. Yeah,
exactly. They just can't compare to the other teams trying to run that same offense. So kudos to him for trying something different.
In my mind, gimmicky equals good coaching. It's the ability to adapt. To play to the strengths of your team for that moment in time for that year. Maybe even boils down to that specific game based on injuries.
Right.
So gimmicky or not, very good coaching job. He'll be remembered for coaching, but his players, his family, I think society's going to remember the man.
Absolutely. They're not just going to remember the coach. They're going to remember him for being a good man. Absolutely. See you on the flip side, Coach.
You ready to have some fun?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Let's hit it.
Ladies and gentlemen, real or fake? Hot take. It is here. All right.
No one knows what these questions
are. We're coming in blind.
I have 3 real or fake questions here, or statements even. I would love to hear the responses from the panel today.
A mighty big panel we have here.
Absolutely. The panel of two. All right.
And you reserve the right to butt in.
And I will interject my own opinions into my questions, so cram it.
Why do you always pit me versus Parker? Do we butt heads or something?
I don't know that y'all will disagree. I have no idea. I really don't. This could make for some interesting conversation. But let's start it off here. Going college here with these bowl games, guys. Bowl games, real or fake, bowl games are irrelevant now with players opting out to play in them.
Fake. They are still relevant. And I'll tell you why they're still relevant. Because if the players opt out, that means they're gone anyway. So it gets the backups in there. If you go to a bowl game, you get about 20 extra practices in than a team that doesn't get a bowl game. So the bowl game itself doesn't mean anything, but the practicing does, especially to those players that are going to be getting the starting roles the following year.
So you think it's like a preview?
Whoa. What was can you reread the question?
Bowl games.
Because I think he answered it both ways.
Yeah. Bowl games are irrelevant now with opt-outs being in place.
No, there's my argument is they are still relevant. The game itself isn't relevant, but the practice time leading up to the game is relevant.
Man,
so,
he didn't ask about
this is the fence.
Wait a minute.
He is straddling. He is straddling.
No.
He is a fence sitter.
So without the bowl game, those practices wouldn't happen. So therefore, the game is relevant.
Tell me something, Newberry.
Bowl games are irrelevant. Fact. Now I'm going to go back the other way like Parker did just a little bit to bring it home.
So it's real.
So bowl games mean nothing to fans, to the public. I will say that it means something to pocketbooks for both the universities, the place in which it's being played, media, whatever. But I tell you, I don't know that just because of opt-outs that they mean nothing. I argue that these bowl games have meant nothing for a long time.
Ooh. So I think
because I don't think practices, I don't think that this one game I don't see much of a carryover, especially now with this stupid transfer portal.
Yep,
I mean,
we're about
these
to get into
players
that.
won't even be there next
you
year.
just pump your brakes there.
Sorry.
Pump your brakes. I do think that they are irrelevant for the season that just happened. I think they should have no bearing on any standings of any kind, because often with these opt-outs, we end up having teams that have that's all good.
Hey, do we have another person on the panel?
He disagrees. He thinks that they're fake.
I think that was Uga.
But anyways, I think that the teams that end up playing in these bowl games are not the same teams that have been playing the entire year. Case in point, University of Tennessee. They don't even have. I mean, they don't have their quarterback due to injury, but still, they also aren't going to have two of their star wide receivers, one of their offensive linemen, and God knows how many other defensive players are going to opt out. You look at the University of Florida. You know, if they go to a bowl, I mean, they've lost 15 to 20 folks to the transfer portal, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But the fact of the matter remains, I do agree with Bradley somewhat here, because what it is you're getting a preview of the next season. You're getting a little bit of a preview there. It's not the same team.
I don't even think you get that.
I think it depends. It's tough because it depends on what do you look at that matters, right? The game itself. If we're just looking at the game outside of the playoffs, it doesn't matter for the most part. For the UConns of the world, the teams that don't get there, I think it matters. But taking it all into whole, like you go to Kansas and tell me Lance Leopold doesn't care. You got $100,000 bonus just for making it. You know, like there are certain situations that it matters. So
I agree.
For those things to count, you see what I'm saying? For those things to happen, the game has to happen. If it wasn't for the game, the pointless game, the things outside of it couldn't matter.
Yeah. All right, well, here we go. Moving on here. Real or fake? The transfer portal this year moving into next year is going to create the biggest parody that we have ever seen in college football, ever.
I'll let Bradley take this one first.
I think there's a better chance that this is real. Parody, when I think of that word or hear that word, I think NFL.
Well, I think there's the argument that this is free agency.
So what I would be interested to see, Parker, is the transfer portal. Will it still be where the big schools get the big names just via transfer portal, or will transfer portal kind of even it out? What do you think?
All right. So the answer, on the fence again. The answer is it depends. If I'm talking about the big boys, I'm saying no, because the big boys are still going to be the big boys. There's an article out right now about how Ohio State couldn't even get somebody because they couldn't come close to touching what Georgia offered them. However, I do think it creates parity in the lower levels. I think that these smaller schools that are fighting for some, maybe NTSUs, these guys that are at lower level that are fighting for somebody even at a lower level, that's going to even the playing field out a lot of those teams. But those top four guys, we can just sit here right now and I can predict the college football playoff next year. And it's because those big time guys, they're just going to those schools. So maybe it's still going to be the same 6 to 8 teams. Like, you know, there's not going to be a transfer. It's going to be very rare for a transfer to go to Washington or Iowa or wherever. They're still going to go, if they're a big time name, they're still going to go, well, he was tossed off, you know, I mean, off the scrap heap. For a big-time name to go somewhere, it's still going to be Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State.
I don't know. So here's my thing. What I think it eliminates the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world having 17 deep players that could start everywhere. And so what I think happens is, the top guys are still going to be the top guys, but I think you're going to have a lot of their players that end up either getting hurt or riding the bench or not working out or whatever. Now they're going to have an opportunity to go down to a Colorado or somewhere like that. And they're going to get to play right away. And the question is does that make them competitive enough to compete with these other teams? I don't know. I don't think any of us really know how that's going to affect the games. The top dogs will always be there, but I think what we're seeing, or what we will see rather, is some of those players who are heavily recruited and just aren't getting the playing time that they thought they were. They will probably even step a little bit back if they're at an Alabama. Maybe they come to like I said, a Colorado comes to mind, an Iowa that comes to mind, somewhere a Purdue or something like that, somewhere that has a good coach, and they just need somebody to get them over the edge. I don't think that you're going to see people go from worst to first, but I think you'll see some of those people in that upper middle tier maybe be able to sneak up on some folks in the coming years.
I think that's a possibility. You're right. We don't know. I mean, I could argue the other side of it and say, well, they're transferring from Alabama riding the bench because they were riding the bench because they suck. I could also say Alabama could go to, I don't know, Tennessee and poach Toa Toa to come play for them and go to the other and get their big players. So I don't know. It's so early in this process that your guess is as good as mine on it. You know, who knows? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, and I think that two things you have to differentiate from are the transfer portal and the NIL. Those are two different things, but they actually overlap. I don't know if it favors a big school over a little school. I think it just it's a case by case basis. I think the people that are most interested in playing football, getting good film out there, are less concerned with the NIL when it comes to the transfer portal, but I don't know. We'll see.
And I admit, I don't try to study it too much. I think there's so many moving parts. I'm just waiting. I'm taking that wait and see thing. Let me see how it settles in July.
Yeah.
When we do our preview show.
I mean, I already told y'all earlier that we were going to see enormous numbers of people leave places like Texas A&M and oddly enough, Florida too, which I didn't really see that coming necessarily, but those two teams are topping the list in the SEC for transfer portal guys. And I think over the next 2 years, we're definitely going to see things. I wouldn't say the field is going to be leveled, but there's definitely going to be people that have a chance to step up and possibly steal one from one of these bigger name teams.
I know this wasn't your question, but it kind of goes with it since you mentioned NIL. It also will keep some of these teams together. I mean, look at Keyshawn Boutte, who's projected to be a top 15 pick in the draft, staying at LSU because NIL money is more than he would make when he's drafted.
Yep.
Which is unbelievable to me. So I think NIL is great for that reason.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely. All right. Moving on to my third one. Real or fake? Here we go, Parker. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Will Levis will be the first quarterback taken in the 2023 draft.
Fake. Not only will he not be he might be one of the first quarterbacks taken, but I mean, we can go down this list of guys with tools that, turned out to be nothing. I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, and I will eat my shoe if I'm wrong. This guy will not be starting in the league after 2 years because he is going to come in. He's going to be Jamarcus Russell. He's going to suck. I'm telling you right now, I watch him. I don't understand. Is anyone that has eyeballs and isn't just a keyboard analyst and sit and watch this guy play? He's not good. He is not good.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
Will he be the first? Fake. He's not going to be the first.
Oh, you telling me Anthony Richardson's going to be first?
No.
Is that what it is?
No, I didn't say that either. That's fake. But look, I mean, let's hope that maybe he's the second and goes to the Colts.
Hey,
as Titans fans, Jags fans,
let the carousel continue up there in Indianapolis.
So what do you think? Where do you think he's going to go, Blake?
Unfortunately,
he's in the first round.
He will be the second taken, I do believe. I think he'll be second behind CJ Stroud.
I think Parker's got a mock draft. What do you got?
I do. In fact, the guy, Todd McShay from ESPN, just came out with one. There's a lot of guys that do them, but they're usually pretty good. And this just came out 2 days ago, so it's hot off the press. Number one overall, he's got Bryce Young going. Quarterback, obviously, out of Alabama.
Going to the Texans.
Going to the Texans. Get ready, though, y'all, because what it's going to be is he's got all the tools, but he's too small. And he's going to get hurt. That's what we're going to hear all summer. The second quarterback he has going is at number 4 to the Detroit Lions via the Rams, and that is C.J. Stroud for Ohio State.
The Lions are going to go quarterback. I think there's been a lot of talk.
You guys stay tuned. We got our mock draft will be coming after the first of the year.
My question to Parker is, I've been hearing a lot of talk about the competence in Jared Goff. Now, is this strategic coach speech to rally the troops, and do they really have an ultimate master plan in the background, or is it going to be Goff?
Man, if you were taking a top 5 pick, in my opinion, if you don't have Mahomes of the world, if you don't have the top guy, you got to take one. I'm not saying they will. That's just my personal opinion. Is you draft a quarterback until you've got it, right? Even if you've got somebody competent, yeah. Well, so what? What's the harm that's going to happen? Yeah, let's take Stroud or whoever. If he's bad, we've got this great guy Goff. If you just sign up for Goff and he's still just Goff, then what? In my opinion, you got to keep taking the quarterback until you've got the guy.
Absolutely, guys. You're not going to want to miss our NFL mock draft this year. I have a feeling we've got some special stuff in store for you whenever we roll it out. But guys, that's real or fake. That's real or fake. No BS around here. No BS around here.
Just like reality, it's all blurred.
But speaking of Mayo boy, he doesn't even get to the Falcons on McShay. I'm not to the Falcons. Doesn't even get to the Colts on McShay. He's to the Falcons at number 6.
Before we move on, I want to stick with college.
Okay.
Let's talk about the bowl game that's going to be played right here in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, that pits the high-flying Iowa Hawkeyes versus the University of Kentucky. No Levis, probably no Rodriguez, right?
No, probably not.
What is the over-under going to be? 7.5, Parker?
Whatever it is, take the under. I mean,
exactly. How gross.
What a terrible game.
Way to trash up Nashville with that matchup.
I mean, that's the shame of
talking about an irrelevant bowl game. Come on.
You know what? Well, they did it because these crazy Kentucky fans do travel. And they will pack that stadium out. Let's see here. We are at
Kentucky. Yeah.
Bluegrass.
Come on now. Let's go. Come on.
I was trying to find the
roll out there and score 6 points. Lose 6-8.
It is 31.
Under.
Way under.
To put that in perspective, how low that is, that's the same line Army-Navy game was just last weekend.
It went over for the first time in a while.
Well, that was overtime.
Yeah. I don't know.
Unreal. I think it's going to be a dumpster fire. I think it's going to be a dud of a game. I mean, so we know we got a freshman playing for Kentucky probably. We got a defense that's pretty strong on Iowa's side. Only way that any points are getting scored, in my opinion, Pick6s all day.
It's the complete opposite end of the spectrum from what Music City Bowl had last year.
Yep. You're right. High-flying offenses versus duds. Even if they're starting quarterbacks, they're not going to be scoring points.
How little they think of Kentucky, Iowa's favored in that
game. Iowa 2.5.
There you go.
All right, let's go to some professionals. The NFL picks. Our first game was always the Tennessee Titans. And so Tennessee is going to have to make a trip out to California. They are visiting the Chargers. If you want the home team, you have to lay about 2, 3, 3.5. It may end up being closer to 4 points by kickoff. But let's talk Titans first, not the game. We had a whole show dedicated to what a week. And now it's turning into what a hell of a month, Blake.
Yeah. You know, I came on this show last week. And I told you I had a feeling deep down in my gut that I was nervous about this game that happened this week.
It's just the Jags. They hadn't won there since 2013.
But we have been seeing trends with this Titans team that did not bode well, in my opinion, for how their style of play. We saw Derrick Henry's yards start to drop off because the offensive line has just absolutely imploded. Sack numbers are through the roof against that offensive line. We don't really have, Traylon Burks goes down after a dirty hit. Now we don't have anybody really to throw to. Bobby Trees is doing what he can, but I mean, we try to throw it to Chig. Chig is obviously going to be a star one day if he's not already, but we have a poor offensive plan, and we're relying very heavily on a defense that's just getting run through the ringer week after week.
Yeah, it's been a bad month. I mean, I guess this is why they fired John Robinson to turn this around midseason. That I still don't understand the timing of all of that. I just to touch on that again, John Robinson, I was listening to a lot of like Bill Poley and national media stuff like that. And they think he's a top 12 GM, y'all. He's better than average. You fire somebody that is ranked that high, I'm fine with it. But that means you got to hire somebody that's a top 5 GM.
Yeah.
That's just for that. But yes, this is a bad stretch. So it's only a second time that Vrabel's had a 3-game losing streak like this. But man, I know it sounds like hold on, fellas. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's been a really, really tough week for him. I know, Brad, you brought up last week that you were concerned about the message that it sends to your players. You were concerned about are you telling them that they suck? And I turned around and said, well, they do suck. And heads up. But it kind of goes to show you.
That's not coach speak. You can't be saying that, especially the owner. We're not saying that that's what Vrabel was saying. We're saying that's what the owner was saying by getting rid of the man, the GM, that was signing contracts.
Yeah.
Drafting these players, which is putting faith into their own talents, their ability to get better, their ability to be coached, to perform. They're like, nah, that guy drafted you. He's out because of you, and you suck. You don't want to – the players are going to – I thought it was going to be hard for them to get motivated, even want to play anymore. They're like, F this.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the motivation of the players too, but to be honest with you, if you're a professional football player and you can't be motivated enough for the fact that you're playing like shit and you still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs, if you have to be motivated at the professional level for that, we got a problem and we might have the wrong guy on the team.
And they fired him because they didn't have any. What I don't understand is not only the timing that we've talked about, but didn't she just literally give both of them a 5-year extension? If she was already thinking this way, why? Why do you do that?
Yeah, well, I think it's exactly what I said it was last week. I think she got embarrassed and she made an emotional reaction, an emotional decision.
He hadn't done anything, Parker, since the offseason. Come on.
Well, she talked to Teresa Walker and said, hey, I made my mind up that I was going to fire him last week, and why delay the inevitable? If all that's true, yeah, I guess it makes sense. That I just don't understand what happened in 10 months to make you have that decision. We all knew all these things coming into the year. I mean, we can have that conversation over and over again, but I don't think this team has to be motivated. I don't think this is – I missed everything else I said. Sorry, my phone was going.
It's all good.
This team they're professionals. I would hope to God they don't need to be motivated. And I know this sounds like an excuse, but guys, I can't tell you how injured this team is. Like secondary, this week is getting better. Like we said last week, 7 of 11 starters were out. 7 of 11. I mean, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, I don't understand. I didn't sit here and harp on Dennis Daly all day long. People talked about how bad Lawan was. In Lawan's last 5 games, guess how many sacks he gave up? 0.
I know.
Zero.
We're dying for Lawan right now.
0. Daly's given up 7 in 4 weeks. It is impossible. There's literally, I'm on Fallen Titans threads. There are people, I'm not kidding you. There's a bigger cheerleader down on the field. People are taking pictures of that guy and hashtagging the Titans and saying,
it couldn't be worse.
Hey, can't he stand in front of somebody for 2 seconds? It's horrible. But if you want me to transition into this Chargers game, The analysis is really simple on this one, fellas. This is going to be the easiest one of all year. The Chargers, if the season ended today, are giving up more yards per rush than any team in the history of the NFL. The problem is the Titans pretty much do that when it comes to keep it passing. And they've got their boys back. Mike Williams is out there. Obviously, Austin Eckler's good, and Keenan Allen. So if that's the key, If the Titans can run early and get up on this team, they can win this game, and they will win this game. If the Titans go down to this team, they don't have time for Tannehill to get back.
I totally agree. I think that is literally the winning formula in this game. If it's going to depend on how they start. If the Titans start slow, if they end up going down 2 scores early, I just don't know that this is the type of Titans team that can come back from behind.
Oh, they couldn't even come back against the Jags.
Well,
and
they got their ass whipped.
And Herbert's better than Trevor, right?
Yeah, I mean, they need to get the ball first, and they need to score first. Is really kind of what it comes down to.
Derrick Henry needs to hold on the ball.
Yeah,
2
that's never
against the Jags.
Yeah,
3 fumbles in 3 weeks. That's just not his MO.
No,
I like to think that maybe that was just an aberration. Like I don't know, because that's
you
just
hope
not
that's an outlier for sure.
Yeah,
2 weeks in a row, I'll give it to him as an outlier. If it happens in a 3rd week here this week, I see a pattern developing.
I already mentioned it. No pass rush, but they can stuff the run. But Parker's talked about it, and maybe even last week. They've got a little running back named Austin Eckler. He catches passes all day long. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Chig.
Yep.
Hey,
Big Chig.
I think you got something there with Chig. I think a pass catching big guy.
It's the
whatever you want to call him, tight end, receiver. I don't care. He's an athlete.
Him and Hooper. That's all we got right now.
Well, Hooper ain't going to get 60 catches.
No,
160.
I'm waiting on that Venmo.
Listen at him. Listen to these guys.
I put, how do they stop Herbert enough to matter? I think they can get some stops in spots, but probably not enough. The Titans will be able to run the ball. Parker's already opened that can. They will run the ball, but man, it's just 1 or 2 little plays. It could be a stupid special teams thing. It could be we're going for it on 4th down at the 45, and it swings complete momentum. If the Titans are looking at playing catch-up mode, give me the Chargers. I'm going 30-20. Chargers.
Yeah. I don't know. I picked against our boys last week, hoping that it was the thing that gave us the luck to be able to get over the edge. I'm going Homer this week. I think the only way we win this game is to keep it close and win it ugly again. I sound like a broken record, but that's how it has to be done with this team, just because nothing's going to be pretty. So I'm going Tennessee. I don't know if they're going to win, but I think I'm going for a close game.
Parker, this is the second leg of the Vrabel setup. We've got the disappointing loss. Ready for the on the road, nobody believes we can do it. Do you believe they can do it?
You're right. I mean, that's a thing. I mean, it just is. There's a lot of things going towards Vrabel on that. You know, Vrabel is 22-18 straight up against the spread as an underdog. That's the best in the history of the NFL for a first-year coach. There's also been this thought of, the Titans can't go out west. The Titans can't go out west. And traditionally that's true until Vrabel, because he's gone out west 3 times. Underdogs in those 3 games, won them all 3 straight up. So, I mean, there are different things that look like that. And also, I believe in Herbert, but I don't believe in Staley as a favorite. He's 13-15 against the spread as the favorite. So, I'm going to go history here, y'all. I'm going to go for 20 years. The Chargers have been darlings, right? Every year it feels like people pick them. I did this year. I'm probably an idiot, but the Chargers have won some games. The last few weeks, they've looked better. They're starting to be on a roll. This is the time the Chargers would usually charger. When you think that they're just going to absolutely smack somebody down, I just think I've said this about 2 weeks in a row, but I'm going to go with Vrabel for 1 more week. Give me the Titans, and let's just see them win this game.
All right.
We will know the answer to this after the first quarter, by the way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we may know it sooner than that. I think we might know it after the first 3 possessions. Like between the teams, like back and forth. All right.
So Dallas at Jacksonville. Let's talk Jags now. This is not, and I repeat, as the Jaguar fan, this is not a good defense at all. This defense just caused 4 turnovers by the Titans. I can't foresee Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboy team turning it over 4 times. Do you?
No, I just don't.
Not a good D.
No,
they're bad.
No, not at all. I mean, look, the Titans, for whatever reason, have a way of making other teams' defenses look good at times, and their last week was no exception. I just think the combination of Pollard and Zeke in the backfield, the kind of game that they're going to play, I just think they're going to. I think they're going to absolutely. I think they're going to beat them pretty bad, quite frankly. I think Dallas's defense is going to be tough for the Jags to handle. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, those turnovers last week just horrendous. That first half, you can't survive 3 of them. But onto this game, Bradley Wright. The defense isn't good, but they might get their best defensive player back this week in Andre Cisco. I know he was a full participant in practice the last few days. And on top of that, Dallas, they're missing 2 of their top 3 corners. They've got their best offensive lineman out for the year. You know, you can sit here and look. GMs tell us what they think of their team. They went out and signed T.Y. Hilton for some reason. You know, like is it the final push? Is it I don't know. This game, I'm having a tough read on this one. I think the Jaguars' defense is going to get better with Cisco back if he plays.
I want to talk about offense.
Okay.
I mean, I saw my rookie, my number 1. No, I'm not talking about Trevor Lawrence yet. I'm talking about Trayvon Walker. I saw the little strip sack where he went around as a guy acting like he's a left tackle.
I mean, that
so bad.
That might as well have been a practice.
Did you see it? On Twitter started trending like, why didn't they chip him? Like, he did chip him. He chipped him, and he still was so bad. He was still so bad he missed him.
I saw this. It was Baldinger. He had a little clip. So Chig chips him.
Yeah.
And for some reason, your left tackle took a false step inside when he knew the only person he had to block was the chipped Walker. And he steps the wrong way. And then he's like playing chase. You're never going to catch him. What the hell are you doing?
Does he not realize that we're chipping him for you?
I don't know what he was stepping up the block. There was nothing there.
We're literally trying to help you because you're so bad and you won't let us. That's what I don't understand it.
He also quits. If you've ever noticed, he just stops in the middle of the play.
He stops on the play. I hate that. Hate that in an offensive lineman.
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, Parker.
368 yards, 4 total touchdowns accounted for, no picks.
A little bit of pep in his voice here. A little bit of pep.
In the last 5 games, 1,362 yards, 10 touchdowns, 0 picks. So he's stacking them. The Jaguars are the ultimate team of Jekyll and Hyde, where they can look okay one week, and then they're the Jags. And then they remain the Jags, and then somehow they beat the Ravens. And then at least I'm seeing consistency from the most important player, arguably, on the roster. I'm not saying he's top 5. I'm just seeing consistency, and I like it.
I know it's heading in the right direction. I mean, but again, last week I would have just came on here and roasted him if he didn't have a good game. Again, no defensive line for us, no cornerbacks. If he didn't have a good game, I mean, that's what I've been talking about. He's still 4-22 straight up when allowing the other team to score 14 points. So
or is that a Jaguar problem?
That is under Trevor Lawrence. When they allow 14, meaning they don't score 14 points. He is 8-22 straight up and 10-20 against the spread for his career. But, man, I still don't know about this Dallas team. Like, I'm going to pull up their schedule because, yeah, they're winning. But, look, they beat the Texans by 4, and they were down at the end. Yeah, they beat
the Texans had it at like
Don't
the
you-
3, didn't they?
Don't
The 2
you
or the 3.
don't you sleep on them Texans.
Hey, the week before, yeah, they crushed the Colts, but they were up by 2 in the 4th. So some wonky stuff happened there. The Giants, they beat the Giants. They were double-digit favorites. They were down at halftime. The Cowboys, they killed. The Packers, they lost to. The Bears, they allowed to score 29 points on. I don't know that this team is as good as people think this team is. What line do y'all have? I can't see that.
I'm seeing about -4.
Yep.
Dallas 4.
Yep.
I wanted to call out Evan Ingram too. 11 catches, 162 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's just stupid. Zay Jones 8 catches, 77 and a touch. Kurt 5 for 45. Will it be duplicated? No. Do I think the Jags have enough to compete? I do. I'm going to call Dallas wins 31-27, but Jags cover. Is my best guess.
Yeah, I'm going Dallas in this one. I think it's.
You think it's a blowout?
I don't know if it's a blowout, but I think it's
More
it's
than enough to cover the
Yeah,
field.
it's an easy touchdown victory in my opinion.
In the last 20 games against the NFC, the Jacksonville Jaguars are 0-20 and 2-18 against the spread.
That sounds right.
After this game, they're going to be 3-18 against the spread. Because give me the Jaguars with a backdoor cover at the end of this game.
There you go.
Is there any scenario that they win? I'm trying to think of what it would be. I mean, it's not
Something stupid happening.
other than Dallas might not be motivated. Dallas has the injuries that Parker brought up. Dallas has. They have Tennessee next week.
Mhm.
No. They don't have Tennessee next week.
Oh, this is after.
That's after.
But
yeah.
I mean, can they really get up for a AFC South Jaguar game? I don't know. They might come out a little flat. This might be a story of the first quarter too, Blake.
Could be.
You're absolutely right. I meant to bring that up because you know who Dallas has next week isn't the Titans. It's the Eagles. And that game means everything.
Yeah. Big game for them there.
I think it might be a look ahead spot, but
It's a
if
good
the
point.
Jags win, I'd be floored. I don't know. We're going to go to some Saturday football. Saturday NFL this week.
Seems weird.
Baltimore at Cleveland, AFC matchup Saturday afternoon on NFL Network. Deshaun Watson is the story, but I'm going to be watching running backs in this one. I'm looking at Nick Chubb versus J.K. Dobbins back off his injury, 120 yards and a touch. I don't care about the quarterback, Blake.
I know. Dude, I just can't ever. I don't think I could ever root for Deshaun Watson. After everything that's happened, that and, Lamar is kind of growing on me.
Lamar's hurt too.
I know, but I like the whole Lamar mystique about the Baltimore Ravens and everything. I'd love for him to be over there talking shit to Deshaun Watson the whole game. I don't know. It's hard though, because like you said, he is hurt. Not really confident in their offense otherwise. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins. I get it. I think this is a close game, but I think that Cleveland will ultimately come out on top. But I'm going Baltimore in the 3 points.
So, y'all are right. It's going to be about the running game. The story is the quarterbacks because Lamar Jackson's been ruled out. Tyler Huntley may or may not play. And, of course, Deshaun Watson on the other side. It doesn't matter to me who's playing quarterback in this team. The Ravens have got the best quarterback on this roster. I don't care if I'd even name the guy who's playing for him because I don't know if you've watched Deshaun Watson. He sucks. He looks awful in both games. Like I know he won one of them, but that wasn't him. That was a defense scoring 3 touchdowns. And if there's any team that's worse than the Chargers against the run, it's the Browns.
By the way, before you move on, does he look like a quarterback that hasn't played football in 2 years?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like people argue that for other quarterbacks, they shouldn't sign them after 2 years. Maybe we should take up with that one as well. Yeah, that's exactly what he looks like. And Deshaun Watson, he's only 10-16 as a favorite against the spread. He's just not built to do that. And I think this is wrong team favored. I really do. I think this is J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards feast. And I think the Ravens can bottle up Nick Chubb. Give me the Ravens to win this game.
We're all on the same. Usually when we all pick the same thing, it's bad news. But
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting 3 points with the better team, overall team. And to fade Deshaun Watson is an easy one for me. So I'll gladly take the 3 points in the Ravens as well. We'll stick with Saturday football, and then the primetime game is Miami visiting Buffalo. We've got the battle of the two AFC East teams here. We could see Saturday night snow, but again, the storyline will be Josh Allen versus Tua.
Oh, man.
Tua's kind of cooled off here. Is it cooled off, or are people starting to pick up on what this offense is putting down?
I don't know. Look, I am heavily influenced by my fantasy quarterback. But of course, I'm off this week. So
what's it matter?
Because I have a bye, in the playoffs, but I still want to see my quarterback do well. I want to see my guy go out there and ball out. I don't know. What do we think about Tua and this Miami team traveling up north into the frozen wasteland that is Buffalo, New York? Do we think that that's going to have any bearing on this game?
It's funny you ask that because I've got a one stat I know on this. So Tua's never played in a game below freezing.
I was wondering that.
And last week, in a game that was 55 degrees, the Miami Dolphins were using gas heaters on the sidelines.
Oh, my gosh.
Also, what we can't know is Tua has played in 4 colder games, like around 40. And in those games, he has as many touchdown passes as I do. He has 6 interceptions, and the Dolphins have been outscored in those 4 games by 83 points.
Jeez.
So we don't really know, but, it's going to be the opposite. You remember earlier this year when Buffalo went down south and it was everybody sweltering and all this stuff. Now it's, a little bit of payback, and there could be some wind. And Bradley, you mentioned it, not just snow, but they're talking possible lake effect snow, which
no, not the 6 feet again.
Which
we're going to move this game to Detroit.
Well, and it won't be as bad, but but this is one of those things. Even meteorologists up there, like, this is something you don't really predict. It's something like you just an hour beforehand, what it is or what it is.
Hey, it's coming.
Yeah. So Josh Allen obviously has the advantage there. And you mentioned have they figured it out? And they might have. The last 2 weeks, there's been a little bit of a, dare say, blueprint against the Dolphins and how they shut down the middle of the field. They shut down the middle of the field so that you don't have these open oceans to throw into for Tua, and they're trying to make him throw out outside, and he hasn't been able to do it.
Yeah, I don't think he has a good enough arm to be able to do that. Those are long throws if you're throwing from one hash to the other, to the opposite sideline. So yeah, it makes it easier on your defense. For sure.
His best throw is the
slant.
Well,
that's what it is.
So
it's what he's been doing since he's been in Alabama.
But also his best throw is the old Danny Werfel one-on-one coverage, whether it's Waddle or Hill, just throw it as far as you can.
Those are easy throws.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like everybody that says that that's their best throw, it's not a good thing.
No, I'm not saying it is.
I know.
I'm just saying he lets his little guys run around. Don't
get me wrong. If I had those guys running for me, I think that's what I'd do too. I'd YOLO it all day.
But I don't think that Hill is all the way healthy right here. He had some ankle issue. My ankle coach.
Well, and going into a sub-freezing temperatures up in Buffalo, that's not going to be a good situation for an ailing ankle.
No, it's true. They say it's good to go, but
come on.
They're icing it after every time he came over on the sideline last week. He's not going to have it iced up there at least, right?
No. But will Miami have enough running game if it turns into a weather game? Well, will Buffalo? Is Buffalo just going to run Allen? Or are they going to Singletary and Cook?
What do you think? Yeah, they're going to run Allen.
If this is a weather game, I'm going 17-14 Buffalo. If the weather doesn't play a factor, I'm going 28-24 Buffalo. So either way, I'm taking the points in the Dolphins.
I'm going snow.
Yep.
All game.
6-3.
Whiteout conditions.
6-0.
20-3.
Okay. All right. 23.
So no one really knows about the weather. This opened, I think, at 48. everybody freaked out because they saw the snow report. It went down to 41. And another report came out that it wasn't going to be that bad, and it's 43.5. And now another report came out that there may be lake effect. So it's just kind of like sitting there because no one knows what to do with it. I sneakily think this game might go over, honestly. But I don't tend to pick the Bills just because I think they're overvalued in the market, but I think this game might get ugly. If it is windy, Allen's got a cannon. He's got an arm. It doesn't really affect him unless it's like 16 plus miles per hour. So give me the home team on this one to absolutely wipe the floor.
All right. Best bet time where we can do props. I don't even know if they're out yet this week. Games, double dip with if Blake wants to again. But I'm going to go with one of Parker's tried and true picks. I see Coach Tomlin getting 3 points against the Panthers. And Small Hands Pickett, I don't think he's playing. I don't think it matters. I think this defense and the running game and the short passing game can do just enough to not only cover 3 against the Panthers of all teams, but just win this game.
Not only is he not playing, but Mason Rudolph is splitting first team reps with Mitch Trubisky at practice.
Yeah. Give me either one of them.
I am going to go. I cannot believe this. I'm going to go to New York, and I'm going to go visit the Jets. And the Jets, I don't have a prop because we're doing this kind of early, and they're not out yet for what I was looking at. Give me the Jets -1.5 against the Detroit Lions. It is time to get off this train. You mentioned Small Hand Kenny Pickett. Well, guess who Small Hand Kenny Pickett's daddy is? It's Jared Goff outdoors. He just is not good outdoors. So they do really well indoors. You know what else Pickett does? He does really good against zone coverage. Things I've talked about with Trevor. He does really good against zone coverage. Well, guess who runs man coverage more than anybody in the league almost? The Jets. Guess who have the number one rated man coverage corner? Saucy. Also, Goff is terrible when he gets pressure against him. The Jets are one of the best defensive line. Depends if Quentin Williams plays. That would be a big one. But, hey, this is too much love. Like, I'm sitting here looking at the Detroit Lions schedule. They beat a fraudulent Vikings team. They beat the Jags. They lost to the Bills there. Obviously, then they beat the Giants. Who cares? They lost to they beat the Bears by 1. They beat the Packers by 5. I don't like. Is that good? I don't know. So give me the Jets with the elite defense to win this game.
Sorry, I'm over here choking right now.
Now we see Bradley to get up for a reason.
This is the same way that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to choke in covering this 14-point spread against Houston. I don't care. Don't you turn your back on these Houston Texans.
We'll have plenty to talk about Houston next week when they come to Nashville.
I don't want to get into that just yet, but yeah, I'm going Houston in the points right here.
Houston +14.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you like them enough to double dip and take them as your upset special dog of the week?
No, no, I'm not going that far. I'm going I don't know. It's kind of boring here. For me, I don't feel terribly strong about any of these, but I do think that old Belichick has got a little bit of a trick up his sleeve. He's got a card hidden up his sleeve. He's just going to slide that ace out. He's going to take care of business down there at the Death Star down in the desert.
Oh, I'm going to go with, Marcus Mariota's gone.
Yep.
I'm looking at a rookie quarterback, Desmond Ridder. You're playing indoors. I mean, it's not like it's going to be a weather game. You're at New Orleans, a foe that you know well. Maybe they rally around the rook right here, Parker. Give me Atlanta in the upset.
Yeah, they could. I mean, that's the bet is on the unknown, right? We don't really know what we're going to get there. The only thing that would scare me about that is he's been behind Marcus, and Marcus was so bad. How bad has he been at practice to not have him play? And Blake, onto yours. Actually, I had this for my final thought, but I'm just going to use it right here. The Raiders have lost 6 straight games versus the Patriots. The last win was in 2002. That was the rematch of the Tuck Roll game. So you're on the side of history there. For mine, I'm going to go with, oh my goodness, doing it live. I'm going to go with the.
He's going Jags.
No, I did think about going Titans, but I can't do that to myself. I can't take a double loss. So I am going to go. Where'd you go? I just said, I'm going to go with the New York Football Giants. I am betting on 2 New York teams this week, which is probably not very smart of me. But the Giants to beat the Commies. The thing that scares me about this, a lot of people were saying Chase Young is going to get his debut for Washington. I don't think that's true. I don't think he plays. Daniel Jones, here's what I'm betting on the road. Daniel Jones is a different player on the road. Covers he's 11-6 against the spread against NFC East opponents in his career. 9-4. 9-4 when listed as an underdog against NFC East teams. The only thing that really scares me about this game, and I'm hoping it's in their head. You know who the last time Washington played? They had a bye week last week. The week before that, they played New York. So they had a week to prep for the Giants. Then they had 2 weeks to prep for the Giants. So that does scare me, but hopefully they did too much. You know, like there's such thing as too much research, too much information.
Paralysis by analysis.
Exactly. So that's kind of what I'm hoping here. And I'm hoping Saquon has a big game. So yeah, give me anytime the divisional game, I'll take that on.
I took them in our confidence picks there too as well. So I'm with you on that.
That is a show.
That is a show. Guys, thanks for joining us again for another episode of DDS Sports Talk. While you're here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. Give us a follow and a rumble on Rumble. Check us out on all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. You can download the audio versions of all these podcasts on your favorite podcasting platform. Gentlemen, final thoughts.
Okay, completely on the fly here, and then toss it over to Bradley. So after a Jacksonville Jaguars win, Mr. Trevor Lawrence is 1-5 in his next game, and 2-4 against the spread. So I do think they're going to cover this game, though. I'll stick with you.
I'm going to the world of golf, and I'm looking at the PNC Championship live this week from Orlando, Florida. Tiger and Charlie Woods. There are articles coming out from Florida that saying the only reason to watch Mr. Charlie Woods. Tiger says he's just there to pick up the ball from the cup. He doesn't have to hit many shots this week.
I bet he doesn't. That kid is something special. My final thought is guys, continue to keep the Leach family in your prayers. Do us a favor down in the comments. Tell us your favorite Mike Leach moment that you can remember over the years. We'd love to hear from you. And again, keep them all in your prayers. But as always, it is two-tone blue all the way. You guys be well.